Sister Charlene Diorca, president here at the Mount, and it's my pleasure to welcome you. We've been waiting for you, and it's good for us to be here. It's time. Some have been here for a visit, a tour. Some have been here for open house. Some have had a shadow day. There have been emails. There have been phone calls. There have been more emails and additional phone calls. And there have been some serendipitous meetings along the way. And so it's time. Some of you actually just did this last year with another daughter. But today is an important day as you begin your official journey here at Mount St. Joseph Academy. And we're blessed to have you with us. Parents and guardians, thank you for entrusting your daughters to us. These are no easy times, and we know you have lots of choices. Those here at the Mount know I'm fond of saying the only thing we are certain of is uncertainty. And so thank you for entrusting your daughters to us. I'd like to offer a prayer as we begin. And I pray that these words will confirm the dream that God has for you as you continue your educational journey. And so we pray. May the Mount become a second home for you, that when you come here, the weight of the world can fall from your shoulders. May your heart be tranquil here, blessed by peace that the world cannot give. May school become a happy place where the desires of your life find the pathway to your door. May Mount be a safe place, full of understanding and acceptance, where you can be as you are, without pretense or fear. May our school community be a place of diversity and discovery, where the possibilities that sleep in the clay of your soul can emerge and deepen and refine your vision for all that is yet to come to be. May Mount be a house of courage, where healing and growth are loved, where dignity and forgiveness prevail, a place where patience of spirit is prized, and the sight of the destination is never lost, though the journey may be difficult and sometimes slow. May you find great delight here, and a place of welcome and inclusion. And we make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. It's my pleasure and privilege to introduce our principal, Miss Elizabeth Blessing.
Thank you, Sister. And thank you today to our faculty and staff for being here on this Sunday, this beautiful Sunday. Thank you to our parents and our guardians for giving their time. And most importantly, to our students. To students here today, you bring unique experiences and perspectives that form who we are and continue to form who we are today and throughout your journey at the Mount. Parents and guardians, it is an honor to partner, to cultivate lifelong learners, servant leaders, and founders. Founders are our leaders, students that stand on the shoulders of alumni who have walked these halls here at the Mount. The founder of the Sisters of St. Joseph, a Jesuit priest, Jean-Pierre Médaille, has 100 sayings that help us connect with ourselves, with God, and with the dear neighbor. One of them is, put aside yourself so that you can put in the new, from Ephesians. So today, and throughout your journey, put aside yourself so that you can bring and grow in light here. And today, that starts. Your journey really it has started and begins to grow here at the Mount. As Sister said in her prayer today, sometimes it'll be a slow start. Sometimes it'll be challenging. But here you will have the support to grow into that servant leader, that founder, and a lifelong learner with hunger, right? With intellectual curiosity, with drive. So today, we are overjoyed to see you here. Ask questions and jump in. And on that note, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our expert today, Campbell Donovan, as our senior leader. Thank you.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Mount. My name is Campbell Donovan, and I am a senior here. I'm excited and frankly jealous of all of you starting your new journey at the Mount. Mount has provided me opportunities to become heavily involved in the community, take interesting classes, and most importantly, make sisters for life. I encourage you to learn about your class options today and pursue the ones that pique your interest. If you have any questions throughout your day, feel free to reach out to me or any of the other students here. Thank you and enjoy your day. I would now like to introduce Mr. Holdren.
Thanks, Campbell, for that. So my name is Don Holdren. I'm the Dean of Studies here at the Mount. I've been in that role for 3 years. This is my 3rd year. Prior to becoming the Dean of Studies, I taught music here and was the chairperson of the Fine Arts Department for 13 years. So I've been around the building for a while, although fairly newly in the role of administration, and what a 3 years it's been. We are so excited to have you with us today. You know, when I was a student, my 2 favorite times of the year were back to school shopping in August. I'm one of those geeks that just likes to wander up and down the aisles in Staples, and office supplies are just awesome. And then my second favorite, or maybe a close, it's a tie for favorite, but when I got to think about the next year and start to plan the classes that I was going to be taking. Because at that point in time, you're so full of hope about what will come. And if you do it right, which is hopefully the way that we start out today, there's an intersection between who you are, and I'm speaking specifically to the students right now, who you are as a person, who you are as a learner, where you think you want to go in the future, and how you think you want to get there. And that's so exciting. So welcome. There will be a lot of information coming your way in the next 45 to 50 minutes. It may feel overwhelming, but we are all here to answer questions. And what I would ask is, if you do have a question, because there is so much information that is going to be shared, if you do have a question, if you just make note of it, and then wait until after the presentation is over. And then when the presentation is over, several of us will be upstairs in the gym, and several of us will be downstairs in Fonfon, and you can direct your question specifically to the person who can best answer that question. All right, so does that make sense? If a question comes up, just make note of it and keep it for afterwards. I'm going to walk away from the microphone, so if anybody has trouble hearing me, just let me know. But I don't like to stand in one place for too long. The reason that we're here today is, first and foremost, the last point on that slide, which is so important. To begin to plan your freshman year. To lay a foundation for lifelong learning that really has started. The reason that you're sitting here is because you've already begun that journey. And it's our hope to partner with you as you continue that journey and then move beyond our doors. We're going to highlight new opportunities for learning, talk a little bit about the classes that you'll be taking, and we're going to speak in some practical terms about the process of signing up for classes, the process of registration, the forms that need to get filled out, and where to hand them in or mail them as we go, okay? So that's where we're going today. I want to start out with this. And students, again, this is a little corny, but stay with me. I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to just be where your feet are. I want you to think about, who am I as a person? Or who do I think I am? Because we know that might change as the years go on. But where am I right now? What gets me excited about learning? What are the things that get me up in the morning and out of bed? What are my passions? And they could be passions that have to do with academics or with co-curriculars. What drives me? All right, I want you to open your eyes. And I promise that if you keep that image front and center, as you go through this process of choosing classes, as you go through the next year, as you go through the next 4 years here at the Mount, if you keep that vision front and center, then we will be able to partner with you to design an academic curriculum that not only is excellent, bar none, but is also individually crafted to suit you, your learning, and your aspirations. So let's plan for a year that's exciting. Let's plan for a year that's challenging in the right way. And what I mean by that is, let's find the best fit for you. Let's plan for a year that is balanced. We're going to keep stress in mind a little bit. And try to keep that in check, because no one learns well when they're stressed. We will push you, but we will also support you. So, graduation requirements, and this is over 4 years, okay? So don't get too panicky about this yet. But over 4 years, we require 4 full credits of theology and English, 3 credits of social studies, science, math, and world or classical languages, 1 credit of fine arts, a half credit of technology, a quarter credit of health, and 1 credit of phys ed. And our curriculum is designed so that as you move from freshman to sophomore to junior to senior year, all of those credits fall into place. Also, you will be working very closely with your school and college counselors, and they will help you to make sure that you're checking off all of the boxes that you need to check off as you proceed through your years. All right? I will say that we're going to share this slideshow will be up on our website, so if there's something that you feel like, feel free to take a picture of it if you want to, but it will also be on the website for you to refer to later. All right, so our year is built maybe a little differently than some other schools. We do have, a full year, so we have some courses that run all year, but every other day all year. We have some courses that run every day for 1 semester, and we have some courses that run every day for a quarter, and then finally some courses that run every other day for a quarter. So there's lots of moving parts. You as new students, as freshmen, are going to be spending most of your time in the area of semester-long courses, okay? Most of your quote-unquote core courses, English, math, social studies, science, they're going to meet every day for 1 semester, all right? If we were a traditionally scheduled school, you may take 8 classes, and those 8 classes would meet for about 40, 42 minutes every day for the whole year. So here at the Mountain with block scheduling, instead of meeting for 40 minutes every day with 8 classes, we split that year up. So you're going to meet basically with 4 classes in the fall semester every day for 80 minutes. And then those classes get put aside, and then you get a new crop of classes for the spring semester every day, 80 minutes. So it helps you to focus. You only have 4 teachers to deal with rather than 8, right? And it gives the teachers time, because of that 80-minute block of time, it gives them time to really spiral through the course material and really get to it. Teachers don't lecture for 80 minutes. The 80-minute time gives them a chance to present a topic, do some direct instruction, but then go to hands-on activities and really kind of sink your teeth into what is being taught. The block schedule also has another advantage, and I kind of mentioned it before, but the block schedule gives you far more flexibility as a student to choose the classes that interest you. So we have more electives that are available to our students than many other schools have. For freshmen, your choices are a little bit limited. As you move up through the years, those choices become more and more wide open for you. So that by the time you're a senior, I can tell you that there are no 2 senior schedules that are absolutely alike. Why? Because the schedules are designed to suit the specific learner. And what an opportunity that is, right? How awesome is that? That you can focus on the things that get you up and out of bed in the morning. Now, we do cover all of your core classes, the things that you have to take, right? All of those things are there, but with that added bonus of getting to spend time doing things that are really interesting to you. So a typical freshman roster, and if you look at fall semester, spring semester, okay? Everybody takes Old Testament theology. Algebra 1 is where most students will be in math. World and classical languages, Latin, French, Spanish, your choice. And then something that we call freshman rotation. 4 classes that each one is worth a quarter credit to make up 1 credit. So 4 credits then in the fall semester. Then in the new semester in the spring, those first 4 credits go away and are replaced by English, science, social studies, and then you have a blank spot, and this is where some choice comes in. We'll talk about that later. All right? You can use that blank spot, that extra credit, to take a fine arts course. You can take a 2nd credit of math if that's what you would like to do, and we will talk in more details about that. Okay. So don't panic, but this is what a schedule looks like when it is sent to you in the summer, all right? And our schedules are released sort of at the end of July, before the middle of August, certainly. And when you're reading this, across the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, those are our blocks. So instead of periods, we call them blocks. Okay? So we have first block, second block, third block, fourth block. There are 4 blocks in a day. Okay? So when this student came in the first day of school, quarter 1, it was, let's see, my shaky hands here. It was an A day. First block, she went to honors intro to writing and literature with Mrs. King. Then second block, she had exploring technology. That's one of those rotation classes, those quarter credit classes. Okay? Then third block, she went to honors algebra 1 with Mrs. Phelan. And then fourth block, she went to Spanish 1 with Mrs. Eves. Okay? That was the first day she was here. That was A day. We have an A day, B day cycle. So A days alternate with B's. A, B, A, B. All right? So on Tuesday of that first week of school, this student came in, and her first block was Spanish. Her second block was Nurturing Innovative Founders with Ms. Mullen. Then the third block was Honors Algebra 1, and fourth block was Honors Intro to Writing and Lit. So there's two things that I want to point out. Do you see that between A day and B day, what was first block and what was fourth block switch places? Right? And that's consistent. Every A day, B day, first and fourth switch spots. And the reason for that, there's actually a few reasons for that. First of all, you're not always hitting the same class at the same time of day. So in other words, 8:15, when you're still a little bit groggy, you're not always in that same class. Also, at the end of the day, you're not always hitting that fourth block class when you're out of steam and, we've got another class to get through yet, right? Also, if you are an athlete and you have early dismissals to get to games and things like that, you're not always missing the same class at the end of the day, all right? So there's reasons for that alternating back and forth from A day, B day, all right? Also, you'll see that Intro to Writing and Literature lasts for a full semester, quarter 1, quarter 2. The same is true for algebra, the same is true for Spanish. So those are all 1-credit classes. The classes that last for a quarter only, Exploring Technology, is just in quarter 1 and just on A days. On B days, Nurturing Innovative Founders, only in quarter 1, but on B days. In quarter 2, Health on A, and Phys Ed on B days. So those are like I said, those alternating day classes. All right? You will be pros at reading this schedule by the end of the first day you're here. Students. Parents, it might take 5 or 6 years for you. And that's just because you're not living in it every day, right? If you were living in it every day, you would be able to, it would come easy. Where's lunch? Did anybody notice there's no lunch there? That's right, because we don't have lunch here. No, that's not true. Lunch is actually very good here. Lunch is in block 3, okay? So depending on your classroom, we do a lunch schedule. Some students will go to block 3 first, and then go to lunch. Others will go to lunch first, and then go to block 3, okay? And that changes from quarter to quarter. So if you have first lunch in quarter 1, chances are good that you'll have second lunch in quarter 2, all right? So lunch is not on the schedule, but it occupies block 3. There's another period in time that we don't have on this matrix, but that exists, and that is our advisory period. Advisory is a time, and it goes between blocks 1 and block 2. So when you come in the morning, the first thing you do is you go to your first block class. Okay. After first block class, you go to advisory. And advisory is either 10 minutes long or up to 20 minutes long, depending on the day. In advisory, there are different types of programming that take place. It's a small group where students can experience a relationship with a teacher in a different way. It's also used for building skills, learning skills, and it's also used for social and emotional learning during that time. So that's what happens. If you look under the ACT column and the ADB column, this student, if you look in the last name, ADB column, you'll see that this student's advisor is actually Mrs. King. Oh, her English teacher is her advisor. So when she goes to advisory between blocks 1 and 2, she'll report to Mrs. King's room 121. Her counselor is Mrs. Trader. Sometimes people get confused because we have advisors and we have counselors, right? Most teachers in this building are advisors. They have an advisory. We also have a full staff of school and college counselors, and those are the people that you will meet with when you're planning course selection for the upcoming year, when you are looking for some help in the college process and all of that sort of thing. Mrs. Amy Bowser is the Director of School and College Counseling. She is with us today, and she'll be speaking with you a little bit later. Freshman Foundations is an online course that all new students take over the summer preceding their freshman year, right? You'll be getting more information about that. It starts when you come for orientation in June, and then it's something that you work on throughout the summer. It introduces you to different people and places around the Mount. It also introduces you to our online learning platform, Canvas, and also to Power School, which is where grades are kept. So that's the roster. The second piece of information that's really important is our program of study. Now, all of you in your packets have an abbreviated version of this, and I think it's green. It basically only lists the courses that are available to freshmen. All right? It lists course descriptions and some prerequisites and things like that. But if you go online to our school website and you go under the tab that says Academics, you can download the full program of study, which lists all of the courses that we offer. And you're going to want to look at that because some of the choices you make today may depend upon what you want to do in future years. Okay? So if you know that you want to take AP Calculus ABBC as a senior, there are certain things that you need to have in place in order to do that. All right? So we encourage you to look through that program of study online as well. So Mrs. Blessing a little bit ago mentioned that the Sisters of St. Joseph were founded by an Ignatian father, a Jesuit father, by the name of Jean-Pierre Médaille, and that occurred in the mid-1600s. This is how rich our legacy is. In the mid-1600s, those founding members of the Sisters of St. Joseph were being formed in an era that we say was Ignatian and Salesian. Ignatian because of the connection to Father Médaille, who was a Jesuit. But Salesian because at the time, the teachings of St. Francis de Sales were in the air. And Father Médaille himself was formed by those principles as well. And when we think Ignatian Salesian, we think excellence from the Jesuit side of our roots, that striving to be more. But we are also formed by the Salesian concept of gentleness and the love of God. So we will push you here. The Mount can be challenging, but we will also support you here. And it's about trying to find the right space for you and the right fit. And that's true for socially, that's true academically. It's about where you will be your best self. We have 3 levels of courses. We have college prep courses. We have honors courses. And we have advanced placement courses. All 3 of those are challenging. All 3 of those are rigorous. Please do not think that if you take a college prep class that it's going to be, kick back and put my feet up for 80 minutes. It is not. Okay. We have the support of our faculty, of our counselors. We also lean on the support of constant communication with families to make sure that we find that balance, to make sure that we find that right fit for our students. In your packet, you have a registration form. It may not look exactly like this, but as we go through it, and during this presentation today, we're going to be walking through this registration form so you know what to fill out there and how to make this work. You should have actually 2 copies of it. Do you have 2 copies of it? Yeah, that's so that you have a sloppy copy and a clean copy to make. Because as you go through these next few days and these next few weeks, we want you to have conversations with your families, students. Have conversations with your families. You're going to have an opportunity to make an appointment with one of our counselors to have a conversation with our counselors about registration and course selection. We want you to do that. So we want you to work out all of your ideas, all of your erasures and your crossed outs on the sloppy copy, and then when you're ready to hand us in the clean one, then you have a nice new clean copy that you can mail back to us or bring in yourself, however you want to get that back to us. We offer honors to freshmen in 4 disciplines, in English, social studies, math, and science. Okay? English, social studies, math, science. Honors placement has already been done for you based on your entrance exam scores, based on your standardized testing, and also based on your grades from your grade schools. And in some cases, we looked back even to 5th grade to see what this trajectory was. We know that the last few years have been majorly disrupted. So we know that those numbers may not really give us a good, accurate depiction of who you are as a learner. So that's where some conversation can come in. We allow students, freshmen, to take up to 3 honors courses their freshman year. So if you are approved for all 4, you need to choose 3. Reason for that being that excellence tempered by gentleness. We know from having done this for years and years and years, this year, this transition for you will be a difficult one. Not only because you're making the transition to high school, and not only because you're making the transition to an academically challenging high school, but also because of the block schedule. And there's just a lot of things pile up on top of other things in this transition that can make it stressful for you. So therefore, we say freshmen are allowed to take up to 3 honors courses. We do not have AP courses for freshmen. Once you're a sophomore, you can take all the honors courses and all the AP courses that you want. Within reason, we'll keep talking to you about that. But for freshman year, this is what we do. The other reason that it's 3 is because remember when we talked about the block schedule, remember we talked about 4 classes and 4 classes, right? The placement of those classes in your schedule is really determined by a lot of factors, including the course requests from the entire school, teacher schedules, building restrictions, right? How many biology labs do we have? Okay. So we can't always guarantee where those classes are going to fall in the final schedule. So there would be no way for us to guarantee you wouldn't have all 4 honors classes in one semester. And that would be crazy. Okay? So having 3, that at least allows us to manage that a little bit. We have a new class. And this class is called Foundations of Physics and Algebra. It's actually a 2-credit course. It's a full credit of physics, science. It's a full credit of Algebra 1. And it's team taught by 2 members of the science and math faculty. This class is specifically for students who, based on the information we have about you, would benefit from the extra support that having 2 teachers in the classroom will provide. It's also, and this is a really cool thing, they'll introduce algebraic concepts, but then immediately apply those in a concrete way to physics. So you're learning both ends. You're learning the heady concepts of algebra, but you're also, catapulting rocks over fences and building bridges and dropping eggs from the ceiling. So it's always a concept paired with a concrete application. If you are one of the students that is in this class, this 403, Math Science number 403, that's indicated on your form, and you also have a separate letter in your folder that describes the class. Again, any questions that you might have about that, we can talk afterwards, and I can point you in the direction of the Math and Science department. So theology and rotation. Mentioned before that all freshmen take New Testament, and all freshmen take what we call freshman rotation. So you don't have to worry about choosing any of this. That's already done for you. You'll spend a quarter of a credit in SSJ Mission, laced in legacy, and then exploring technology, health, and phys ed. Those 4 quarter credit classes make up that freshman rotation. And there are descriptions of those in your reading. English. If you are approved for honors in English, then you can choose either college prep or honors. If it doesn't say approved for English on your approved for honors on your form, then you only have introduction and writing to lit there. Okay. In English, social studies, and science, if you are in college prep as a freshman and you wind up with a strong A by the end of your freshman year in that class, then you can move into honors your second year. Okay? So we do have some flexibility. For those of you that are approved for all 4 honors classes, right, you need to let go of one of those. Plan on doing really well in the college prep version this year, and then placing back into honors as a sophomore, if that's what you want to do. Social studies, same thing. Foundations of Western Civ, either college prep or honors. Math. We're going to take our time with this one. There is so much choice that you have in math. And a lot of what you choose to do in math will depend on how you want your first year and your second year to proceed. Okay? Pathway number 1, all the way on the left there. If you are in that foundations of physics and algebra, that takes care of your math and your science for the year. You should also take a fine arts course freshman year. Sophomore year, you'll take geometry and algebra 2. Pathway number 2. If you come in and you are qualified either for college prep or honors algebra 1, you can choose to take 1 math class your freshman year. And then in sophomore year, you'll double up. You'll take geometry and algebra 2. Think about that for a second. That means that the math class that you take freshman year, that might fall in the fall semester, or it might fall in the spring semester, which means that you'll have a semester without math in your freshman year. People panic about that, right? I can tell you, there are certain students, and you know yourself best as learners. There are certain students that really need to have math every day, especially in their freshman year. There are certain students that are completely fine with, skipping a semester of math. And what we find is that in those cases where you skip the semester of math, the retention is basically the same as what you would retain over a normal summer when you come back to math that next year. Okay? And our teachers are really, really good at those first couple weeks getting everybody back on the same page and reviewing what needs to be reviewed and then being ready to move forward. So we really can take care of the student that needs math every day, the student that is okay to put it off. All right? Pathway number 3, you could double up your freshman year and take Algebra 1 in the fall and Geometry in the spring. That means you only have Algebra 2 left over in your sophomore year. Notice that wherever that single math class is, the other credit is filled by the fine arts elective. So this person could take algebra in the fall and then take the choral class in the spring. While this person here will take Algebra 1 in the fall, Geometry in the spring, and then could have Honors Algebra 2 in the fall of sophomore year, and take the Fine Arts elective in the spring of sophomore year. Okay. I'm just going to linger on pathways 2 and 3 because that's where most of our students are. Okay? If you elect pathway number 2 to put off the doubled up math until sophomore year, geometry could come before algebra 2, or algebra 2 could come before geometry. So those are interchangeable. In some cases, we have students that take both of those math classes in one semester. For some students, that's not ideal. For others, they thrive. Geometry is different enough from algebra that it's not like sitting through 2 math classes, but you know yourselves as learners. If you really know that you don't want to have 2 math classes in one semester, then maybe pathway number 3 is a better choice for you. Okay? I'm not saying that everybody winds up in that situation in pathway 2, but some students do. Pathway number 4, and this is for those students who math gets them up and out of bed, right? It's not me. But these are those students that just eat and sleep and live and breathe math. And you've already taken Algebra 1 in 8th grade. There's a challenge test. I believe it's April 25th or 26th. 26th. 5th, whatever it is. We'll talk about that in a minute. Where you can come in and take a challenge test to challenge out of Honors Algebra 1. You go right into Honors Algebra 2. And in that case, there's no doubling up for you. Okay? So you take Honors Algebra 2 freshman year, you take Honors Geometry your second year. Notice that everybody is done Algebra 2 by the end of sophomore year. Okay? We do that so that you're prepared for the SAT junior year. After you move past Algebra 2, then you can either move into pre-calculus, calculus, or AP Calc, all right? Or you can head towards trigonometry and elementary functions, or you can take AP Statistics, or after you get through sophomore year, then the math curriculum kind of branches out based on where your interests and your talent are. Back on that Honors Algebra 2 thing, I will say that from year to year, we have maybe 35 or so students that decide to take the test. I would say maybe 12 to 15 will pass. Okay? In recent years especially, we've had a lot of questions about, well, I already took Algebra 1 in 8th grade. Right? I've already taken Algebra 1. Why do I have to retake Algebra 1 as a freshman in high school? And there's a few reasons for that. First of all, especially if you come from a public school, because a lot of the public schools are doing that now. They're moving Algebra 1 earlier and earlier. So what they are doing in that public school system is something called vertical teaming, or vertical alignment. So what they do is they can align their curriculum from kindergarten through grade 12, and they can say, all right, this is what is covered every step of the way, and by the time you get to grade 12, you've covered all your bases, right? Because you are in a moment of transition where you're moving from one school to another, our Algebra 1 curriculum may or may not cover everything that your 8th grade Algebra 1 class covered. And in most cases, our Algebra 1 curriculum covers much more than what your 8th grade Algebra 1 class covered. We don't want to get into a situation where a student pushes ahead, challenges out of that Algebra 1 class, lands in Algebra 2, and then by the time they start moving up the curriculum in math, we start to see holes, right? We start to see where there's, that the overlap of concepts wasn't there. And then that student maybe loses the ability to be in honors math altogether, right? Because she can't keep up. So if you are an honors math student and you've taken Algebra 1 already, I would strongly just encourage you, think about whether or not you want to challenge out of Algebra 1. Take the test. Why not take the test? The challenge into Honors Algebra 2. But if you don't make it, don't get too, down on yourself about that. Because really, it's a very safe way. Honors Algebra 1 will make sure that you've checked off all the boxes and you can be successful in math here at the Mount. You can still get to AP Calculus if you're in Pathway 3, right? Pathway 4 gets you to AP Calc a little earlier, but that's really the only difference. Okay? And in fact, that's really the only difference between honors math and college prep math. The only difference is that college prep math will not prepare you for AP Calculus. You can still take Calculus as a senior, but you can't get into AP Calc as a senior if you are in the college prep pathway in math. All right? We always get lots of questions about math, so if you have questions, please let me know today or in the next few days, over the next few weeks. I can help you, I can answer those, or I can point you to our math department who can also help. So you have the sheet, you can check off Algebra 1 or Honors Algebra 1 if that's the way you want to go. On the back of your sheet, there's a box that says Challenge Placement Test Information. That's the spot that if you want, oh look, here it is, April 25th. If you want to take that Honors Algebra 2 Challenge Test, you're going to mark off that box, okay? If you qualify for Honors Algebra 2 based on that test, you're going to decide which fine arts class you want to take. And then the third box is, I would like to take 2 math courses my freshman year. I understand that in doing that, then I'm going to take my fine arts course as a sophomore. All right? So if you want to double up freshman year, that box is the box to check. In many cases, science is much easier than that because it's concepts of physics, honors concepts of physics, unless you're in that 2-credit math science. Okay. We also have a 1/4 credit course, an elective called Independent Science Research, in which students are able to come up with a science project that then is presented at the Montgomery County Science Fair, right? Which I think was this weekend. So we had a bunch of students that presented yesterday on that. So that's a class that you can take all 4 years if you want to, that Independent Science Research. If you want to take that class, you'll check the box, and then you'll be hearing from me. I'll put you in touch with a member of the science department so that you can decide how you want to proceed. World and classical languages, also pretty straightforward. French, Spanish, or Latin. Okay? You have to take 3 consecutive years of the same language for graduation. So we need 3 levels. And that's even if I know many of you are coming from a very strong background in a foreign language. You may have already taken Spanish 1. Okay? If you come in Spanish 2, then you need to take Spanish 2, Spanish 3, Spanish 4. All right? So no matter where you start, at level 1 or level 2, you still need to take 3 credits during your time here. And we have APs in all of those languages as well. Again, if you would like to take the placement test to test out of the first year of that language, that test is April 26th. So it's that same week, right? April 25th is the math day, April 26th is the language day. All right, you'll come in, you'll take a test. Depending on how the test goes, you can either pass into second level or you'll take the first level. All right? Pretty straightforward. Fine arts. Remember we talked about balance before? So I would never, as the previous chair of the fine arts department, I would never say that the fine arts courses are easier than your other classes. But what I will tell you is this. The fine arts classes here, and we have a plethora of options in fine arts. Take a look at the program of study online and you'll see all the wonderful things you can do. It's a different type of rigor. It allows you, as a student, to synthesize everything that you're doing in the rest of your day and bring that to whatever creative project you're working on in your class. Your fine arts classes are those classes that really encapsulate you as a whole person. And it's a great way to build balance into your schedule. It gets you thinking. So we have 3 choices for freshmen for fine arts classes. We have design basics, we have chorus, and we have instrumental ensemble. Remember you need 1 credit of fine arts to graduate. Most of our students take more than that, more than 1 credit. But most students will fulfill their graduation requirement in fine arts in either freshman or sophomore year by taking one of those 3 classes. I will say that if you are a visual artist, if you paint, if you draw, if you work with clay, you have to take design basics in order to take any of the other upper level art courses. If you are an art scholar or a music scholar, then you have some requirements for that scholarship that will require you to take the appropriate courses there. If you would like to take instrumental ensemble, that's really for students who already have and can play a specific instrument. All right. You may learn a different instrument in that class. You may come in playing the saxophone and leave playing the violin. That happens a lot, actually, but you really do need to have and be able to play an instrument before you take that class. I think everything is pretty much self-explanatory there. So then there's a box on the form that says honors preferences, right? That's really for those students. If you're approved for 3, if you're approved for 4, I want you to rank those honors classes in order of preference so that we know which ones to put you in. Now, it could happen that because of the way the schedule, kind of shifts out, that your honors preference is conflict. So, for example, I can tell you right off the top that unless this is a very different year, we will only have 1 section of Latin 1. Okay? We will have several sections of Spanish, and we might have a couple sections of French, but we will only have 1 section of Latin 1. That means that it's going to get planted in the schedule in one place, and if you choose Latin, the rest of your classes are going to need to kind of shift around that. I can tell you there's only going to be 1 section of chorus. So if you take Latin and chorus, that plants 2 classes in your schedule and forces the other classes to move around. Does that kind of make sense? So does it make sense then that if one of your selected honors classes conflicts with Latin 1, then you either need to choose a different language or choose a different honors class? Okay? And those are conversations that we had sort of in midsummer as we're getting ready to come back to church. So that's when the final schedules are done. So that final schedule, that master schedule for the whole school, like we were talking about before, it really is influenced by a lot of factors. The most important factor are the student course requests. these papers that you're about to hand in to us, and you can hand them in today, or you can hand them in, in a couple days. I think April 1st is when we ask for those to be back. Those course requests, that tells us how many sections of each class we need to offer. It's how we make staffing decisions. It's how we make schedules for the teachers. So we know that this teacher needs to teach this many sections of concepts of physics, but then she could also teach this many sections of honors biology with the juniors, or she could teach AP biology, right? It's all based on these course requests. So that's why it's really important that when you hand in those course requests, that's as close to sure as you can be that those are the classes you want to take. You can imagine that once we create the master schedule for the school, right, and then we get into the year next year, if people start dropping classes, changing classes, that could create a huge problem for us in terms of scheduling and keeping balance in our school year. So we really ask that you pay attention, you work thoughtfully with your course requests, and when you hand them in, those are the course requests that you're ready to commit to. As I said earlier, we can't grant requests. Like, say I want to have physics in the fall and I want to have algebra 1 in the spring. I can't tell you that right now, okay? It's going to have to wait until the rest of the schedule is done and things fall out. We may have a little wiggle room. We may be able to make some changes, but in most cases we cannot. And then the final rosters are released electronically before mid-August, but the very, very latest mid-August. In all likelihood, it was July 21st or 22nd that our rosters were released this year. So next steps. And I'm winding down here, honestly. You want to discuss your options as a family. Look through the program of study, the abridged version that you have, but also the more in-depth one that's online. Try to make a plan for what you want to do as a freshman, what you want to do as a sophomore, especially for math. That's important. Mrs. Balser is going to talk to you in a couple minutes about how to schedule a meeting with a counselor to talk through some of those options. And then the form is due back April 1st. Now, I know some of you are sitting there and you already know what you want to do. You've already made your choices, and you can hand us that paper today. That's great, all right? So Mrs. Boyle, who is standing in the back of the room back there, she's my assistant. Hi, Mrs. Boyle. She and I are going to be in the gym, and we have a little basket, and if you want to turn any forms into us, you can do that today, all right? I'll also be in the gym if you have questions that you want to, speak directly with me about this whole process. All right, so my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Balser, who is our Director of School and College Counseling.
Good afternoon. I will keep this brief. I just want to address a few forms that are in your folder. Okay? The first is how you would sign up for an appointment to meet with the counselor. Most likely, it will be myself. We do have appointments starting at 7:30 in the morning, going to, I believe, 5 o'clock that week. So if it's a time, early in the morning, you want to do before your daughter goes to school. I like having those conversations with your daughter and yourselves because it gives me a better idea of the whole picture, and maybe you're not always agreeing on the courses she should be taking. So that is in there. I will be downstairs so I can meet and have meaningful conversation with you regarding the courses. Please don't hesitate to ask any question. This is my 13th year doing this, and I really will try to give you as much information. I know you've heard a lot of information today. So you can, in addition to meeting with me today, you can also schedule a phone call. I do encourage these phone calls. I think lots of things will come up today in our conversations and conversations with Mr. Holdren. So to kind of take your time and really think about, what's in the best interest of the student. The other two forms are consent forms with the MCIO. We did not used to explain these forms, but we did get some feedback that, why would my daughter have to see the IU? This does not mean that your daughter will have to meet with a Montgomery County Intermediate Unit employee, but we do get reading services and counseling services, and what we find is to have the consent and have the forms signed for if your daughter needs support. And a lot of times they'll need support with time management, study skills, things like that. So we do ask that you sign these forms. I would say today would be a great day to just sign the form and leave it so that the forms don't get misplaced. Because if we don't have the form, in order for an IU counselor or educator to meet with your daughter, we have to send a form home, they have to have it signed. So it just frees up some time. They can get services immediately. So again, I will be downstairs, happy to have any conversations, talk you through, especially the honors, the math, and don't hesitate to ask any questions you have. Thank you.
And then just to say, thanks, Mrs. Bell. These forms we give out to all of our students as freshmen. So every freshman, we encourage every freshman to have these forms on file in case there's a need. And it just allows us, as Mrs. Bowser said, to expedite connecting the student with the services that you need, because we already have the document on file. So, at this point, we're going to be moving to a couple different locations in the school building, and there's time for you to have conversations as a family. There's time for you to have conversations with us. And those two locations are the gym, which is right next door, and then Fonfon Lounge, which is you walk down the hallway and you continue down the steps. That's where Fonfon is. And there will be several individuals in those places. I, myself, will be in the gym. And Mrs. Janet Columbro is our athletic director. Mrs. Columbro will also be in the gym if you have any questions about athletics. Mrs. Columbro is the one to help you with those. Downstairs in Fonfon will be Mrs. Gutterman, who is, Mrs. Conti. Gutterman was her maiden name. Mrs. Conti, who is our campus minister. If you have questions about service opportunities, campus ministry here at the Mount, she's the one to go to. Also downstairs, as Mrs. Bowser said, Mrs. Bowser will be down there, and Mr. Latanzi, who is our academic coach, will also be downstairs to answer any questions you might have. We also have students here, representatives from different walks of life from the student body who are here to answer any questions that you may have. We have some students upstairs, and we'll have some students downstairs as well. Also, the Magic Shop is open, so if you would like to buy a Mount hoodie, today's the day to do that. That's downstairs in Fonfon as well. I think that's it for me. So, again, if you have any questions, we're very happy to answer those, and we will see you very soon. So thank you so much.